Stoicism and the beauty of the uncontrollable. How much of your life is spent trying to fix the unfixable? We wake up with a blueprint in our minds of how the day should go, how people should treat us, and how the world should behave. When the blueprint fails, when the rain falls on our parade, when a loved one is cold, or when our plans crumble, we feel a sharp, biting pain. We call it stress. We call it disappointment. But beneath those words lies a deeper struggle, a desperate, exhausting war against the uncontrollable. We have been taught that control is the only path to safety. But what if the greatest beauty in life is found exactly where your control ends? Consider the story of a man named Thomas. Thomas was a master watchmaker. He spent his life in a world of gears, springs, and microscopic precision. In his workshop, everything obeyed him. If a clock was slow, he adjusted the hairspring. If it stopped, he cleaned the oil. He believed that with enough focus and the right tools, any chaos could be tamed. He brought this mindset into his home, his relationships, and his future. He treated his life like a giant clock that he alone was responsible for keeping in perfect time. One winter, a massive flood struck his town. Thomas watched in horror as the river rose, ignored his sandbags, and poured into his workshop. In hours, the precision he had spent 40 years building was buried under thick, brown mud. His delicate tools were rusted. His masterpieces were ruined. Thomas sat on the muddy floor and wept. He felt not just grief, but a profound sense of failure. He had failed to control the water. He had failed to protect his world. He felt as though the universe had personally insulted his life's work. A few days later, while Thomas was desperately trying to salvage a ruined clock, an old friend named Julian visited him. Julian was a landscape painter who had spent his life chasing the light on the hills. He looked at the wreckage of the workshop, then at Thomas's trembling hands. "Thomas," Julian said quietly, "you are trying to fix the river with a screwdriver. You are exhausted because you think the mud is a mistake, but look at the walls." Thomas looked. The receding water had left strange, swirling patterns of silt and clay on the white plaster. In the dim light, they looked like the veins of a leaf or the map of an unknown galaxy. They were chaotic, unplanned, and completely beyond any human design. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" Julian whispered. "You could never have painted that. You could never have engineered it. It is the signature of the uncontrollable. You can spend your life fighting the mud, or you can realize that the mud has a grace of its own. This is the heart of Stoicism and the radical concept of amor fati, the love of fate. The Stoics, like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius, taught that our misery does not come from the events themselves, but from the gap between what we want and what reality is. We want the river to stay in its banks. The river wants to flow. When we say no to the river, we suffer. When we say yes, we find a strange, invincible peace. To find the beauty in the uncontrollable, you must first embrace the dichotomy of control. Imagine you are an archer. You can choose your bow, you can sharpen your arrows, and you can train your muscles for years. This is your kingdom, but the moment the arrow leaves the string, it is no longer yours. The wind may catch it, a bird may fly into its path, the target may move. If you tie your happiness only to the arrow hitting the bullseye, you will live in constant anxiety. But if your peace comes from the fact that you aimed with integrity and pulled the string with all your heart, then you are free. The result belongs to the world. The effort belongs to you. We often view the uncontrollable as an enemy. We see it as chaos or failure. But look at the stars. They are a swirling, violent explosion of gas and fire, governed by laws we barely understand. We do not call the night sky a failure because we cannot control the position of the stars. We call it magnificent. Look at a mountain range. It is the result of tectonic plates crashing together in a slow-motion catastrophe. We call it breathtaking. Why then do we demand that our own lives be neat, predictable, and managed? When you stop trying to be the watchmaker of the universe, you experience a profound letting go. You realize that your life is not a machine to be fixed, but a symphony to be heard. A symphony has loud parts and soft parts, dissonant chords and soaring melodies. You do not stand up in the middle of a concert and shout at the cello for being too sad. You listen. You allow the music to wash over you. This is the art of mindfulness, becoming the witness to the unfolding of reality. The beauty of the uncontrollable lies in its authenticity. The things we control are often masks. We curate our social media, we rehearse our speeches, and we hide our flaws. But the uncontrollable is honest. It is the sudden rain that makes you run for cover with a stranger, sparking a conversation. It is the unplanned detour that leads you to a hidden meadow you would never have found. It is the grief that breaks your heart open, allowing a deeper compassion to grow. These are the moments where life actually happens. To practice this, you must build your internal citadel. This is the Stoic practice of retreating into the part of yourself that cannot be touched by external storms. When a crisis hits, stop and say, "This is outside my control, therefore it is nothing to me." This isn't coldness. It is a strategic preservation of your spirit. By refusing to give your peace away to things you cannot change, you save your energy for the things you can, your kindness, your courage, and your character. Thomas eventually stopped trying to scrub the mud off his soul. He kept the ruined workshop as it was for a while, looking at the patterns on the walls. He began to make clocks again, but with a different spirit. He no longer feared the glitch or the delay. He realized that even the most perfect clock would eventually stop, and that was okay. He had found the beauty of the broken. He understood that his value was not in the precision of his gears, but in the steadiness of his heart when the gears failed. As you move through your day, notice the moments where you feel the urge to grip the world tighter. When the person in front of you is driving too slow, or when the weather ruins your plans, or when the future feels like a fog. Take a breath, open your hands, say to yourself, "This is the dance of the world. This is the beauty I did not plan." You are not the architect of the universe. You are a guest in its magnificent, wild, and unpredictable garden. Stop fighting the wind and start learning how to sail. The storm is not your enemy. It is the force that moves you toward a horizon you could never have reached on your own. Find your peace in the wildness. Find your power in your yes. For in the heart of the uncontrollable, you will find a freedom that no watchmaker could ever build.